Hi, welcome back to the Cuzzy Sound channel. In this video I'm going to take a bit of a behind the scenes look at how I use my Project XII DIY modular analog synth when I'm composing. What do I mean by composing? When I do the Cuzzy Sound electronic music stuff with Project XII, particularly the Modular Nights tracks that I do, I try and set it up so that what I capture is a live performance. So everything you hear is played live and just captured on 2-channel stereo and recorded, and what you hear, what I play is what you hear. It's what you get. Very rarely do I do any post-processing other than trimming out bits of silence and maybe a bit of fade in, fade out. But I try not to do anything other than that, because what I want is to capture the live conversation that I have with the machine. So that's the Cuzzy Sound, the Modular Nights kind of approach. Before I got into all of this, I'd already started recording tracks which were more of a prog rock kind of feel to them. So with guitars, acoustic instruments, piano, electric keyboards, software synths. But I always kind of fancied getting some more kind of analog type sounds in there. I've been a big fan of Hawkwind for decades, and I kind of like that mix that they get with the electronic music against the more traditional rocky guitar kind of music. Alright, I'm not particularly rocky. I tend to be, hey, it's my nature, it's more laid back kind of stuff. But what I wanted to do was incorporate some of this into what I was starting to do with, or continuing to do with the prog rock style. The problem is, most of what's in there doesn't follow the 1 volt per octave standard. I've got a beatstep controller here. The problem with that is there's no BPM display on it, so I can probably preset it if I plugged it into a computer and it all. But the thing is as well, Arturia, it either has to be Mac or Windows. I don't have Mac or Windows. All my computing is done on Linux. The recording that I do use Audacity on Linux. It's not a fully fledged digital audio workstation DAW. It's a sound file manipulation program, but it works for me. If I want something that's more of kind of a DAW base for doing things like the software synths and what have you, sometimes I'll play the software synths live by plugging a MIDI keyboard into it, play it and record it through the mixer. So actually, although I'm playing the software synth, I'm playing it live. But there are times when I record things, and for that I use LMMS, again on Linux, and then export the files and put them into Audacity. So that's kind of what I've been doing to date with the prog rock stuff. But certainly on the last album that I did, there was more and more getting to be more and more of this machine getting involved, and I quite like the way it adds that extra dimension to it. Something that's it's kind of, you can't beat that kind of quirky analog sound. But there comes problems, and like I said, not 1 volt per octave. I've got no BPM readouts, but what I do have are some apps on this tablet. Typical with me, this is probably of interest to paleontologists. It's a Samsung Galaxy Tab 2. Yeah, 2. Don't ask me how long I've had it. But what it's got on it, there's a couple of apps that are really useful. There's one which is actually designed to help you with voice coaching, and it kind of captures, it tells you what pitch you're at. But I use that as a tuner for the voices on the synth. And the thing that's bouncing around at the moment, you can see little graphs peeking up, that's actually a BPM counter, which gets me pretty much in close. Once I'm close, what I then do is I tune the last bit by ear so that it's all matching. So what I'm going to show you is I've been working on a bassline track for a track that I've been working on, well, ever since we've kind of went into the first lockdown with this pandemic. It's been bursts of inspiration and then periods of perspiration followed by exasperation and one or two other words that end in ation. But this time round, I'm using my imagination and I'm trying to put down a synth bass line that's just basically a repeated bass line, hitting a single repeated note, which is in the right key and in the right tempo. So I'm going to show you how I've been trying to do that. I'll start by showing you what the patch is. So I've got a control voltage from, you can't see it on the thing, but from the beatstep. You'll see this in a minute, I'll change the camera view in a moment. But you've got control voltage from the beatstep going into one of my 4046 VCOs. The output from that is going into the MS-20 style filter. The output from that is going into a Vactrol. The output from the Vactrol is going to the mixer. The gate out from the beatstep is going into my gate buffer. That just kind of boosts the signal a little bit, and then the output from the gate buffer is going into the CV in on the Vactrol. So a very, very simple patch. What does it sound like? So it's just a simple rhythmic pulse. The idea is that what I will do is I will manually sweep the filter to get the effect that I want. So I'll just give you a short burst of that. So that's kind of what I was aiming for and where I've ended up. So how did I get there? Okay, in this view now, there's the beatstep, which is what I'm using as the sequencer for this particular bass line that you've just heard. The software I've got loaded into my tablet, the app, is called Voice Pitch Monitor. I think I've got that right. And well, you can see as I'm talking, you can see that it's kind of there's the actual pitch readout flickering away, and we've got a graph that's bouncing all over the place. Right now, what I'll put my put the synth through. You can't see it on this screen here, but I've got an amplifier, so it's coming through the speakers, because the way this app works is it uses the microphone that's built into the tablet to pick up the sound and then analyze what it's doing. So hopefully, if I start this and then turn up the volume, I get mic feedback. So I'm going to kill the mic for now. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I will twiddle the controllers for each of the pads, and you should see the change in the pitch on here. I think it was reading D sharp. Things might have drifted slightly. It was actually set up to D3 when I made the recording, which we'll look at in a bit. But I'm going to have to turn the mic down again so that I can turn the volume up, and you can see what happens when I twiddle the knobs on the beatstep. So there we are. That very kind of rough and ready demonstration, but it shows how I can use these tools to actually tune what is a linear oscillator with a 1 volt per octave controller. So one of the things I like about it, it has some limitations and it is sometimes difficult to work with, and on a lot of occasions I prefer to work with a Baby 8, which is just purely linear voltages. And this thing tries to quantize things and, you know, make things like you've got chromatic, major, minor, Dorian, Mixolydian, and all. Means nothing to this thing. So I'm kind of forcing this to do something that it's been told not to do. Although the chromatic, yeah. But anyway, I can actually get it to work and get it to go in tune. And I can, although I've got a constant single note beat on this one, you can actually tune each step and you play a tune with it. But again, you have to sit there and tune everything with the aid of something like this app, or doing it by ear. But it's possible. You don't have to suddenly go, oh god, you know, I'm going to have to build everything 1 volt per octave, or I'm going to have to buy keyboards that do 1 volt per octave, otherwise I can't play this thing. Well, that's rubbish. Of course you can. Use your ears. That's what being a musician is all about. Okay, ramp mode off. In terms of the BPM software, I'll come out of this now. I've got one here that's called Simple BPM, which is the graph that you were looking at before. Now, there's probably a way that I can plug my computer into this and get this to read the BPM that's being used on the recording software that I've got on the computer. But no, I haven't got that sussed yet, and plus the logistics of doing it are a bit difficult and lots of long cables and things. So what I've decided to do was use this. Now, I know that because I put the original drum track in the computer together on LMMS, I was able to preset it, and it's set at something like 98 BPM. Yeah, I told you it was laid back stuff. So I'm looking for something that's pretty close to that. So if I start this going, turn the mic down, and then I'm going to turn the amp up. So you can see, as I tweaked it there, we went from, it was at 98, which is what I wanted it to be, and we've got it back up, right up to 140, so we're almost into techno territory. But again, once I've got it close with the app and everything, I can then play back what I've already recorded on the computer, and then by ear check that it matches, and then for the fine checking I can record what's on here, and then on the computer I can see how things line up. So to finish off this behind the scenes video, I'll show you where I've got to. It's not the finished item, everything just sounds on top of itself, there's no mixing being done or anything, it's just simply I'm grabbing audio at this point in the composition. But you should be able to see what it looks like when it goes from here into the computer. This is Audacity running on my Linux system, and what I did, I recorded the output from the Project XII synth directly into an Audacity file, and then pasted it into the kind of this project, if you like, along with that's already got the other tracks in there. You can see there's multiple tracks. They're grayed out because I've got the synth track set to play solo. You can see the effect of the filter sweep as it's kind of in its graphical representation on here. So I'll just play it from just before the filter sweep. You can hear what came in. Okay, that's enough of that. If I zoom in, what you see is there's a little bit of what looks like a gap at the beginning here. Now, because I just recorded what was coming out of the synth and then pasted it in, I didn't try and sync it with this track here. So if I turn this track on now, what this is it's a very basic 4/4 time drum track. It's the one at 98 BPM that I was talking about earlier. When I found that I've tried to play keyboards, piano, guitar and that sort of thing against a click track, I struggle to follow it. So what I've started doing is just generating a really basic drum track, which I use to keep time while I'm recording all the other instruments. And then eventually this track will actually get thrown away, and I will write a drum track specific for this particular project. But for now, it's just a bog standard 4/4 time. But what it does allow me to do, I can get hold of these audio clips and slide them up and down so that I can actually align the edges. You can see if I start to kind of align the edges, my timing from setting up on the synth is pretty close to the timing generated by the computer drum machine, generated in LMMS. So let's have a listen to how it syncs in with the drum. So that's a pretty tight timing there. It's not really drifting too much at all. I'm getting into the filter sweep again. So yeah, we're quite happy with the timing. What about the actual tone of it? Well, what I've got down here, turn this track on. Come out a little bit, you can see a little bit more. So this is actually a piano. It's an electric piano, but again, it's not MIDI'd or anything. I actually played it live, if you like, and recorded it. So let's have a listen to what it sounds like when we've got the electric piano coming in. And then this other grayed out track that we've got down here is actually this is a acoustic guitar. And again, I just recorded the acoustic guitar playing kind of live against the drum track. Slightly behind on the acoustic here. Yeah, a bit off the beat there. Well, there you go. As I said, it's all literally just acoustic dumps at the moment. There's been there's no attempt at actually producing the track, or there's, you know, I've not added any filters, no effects or anything. I mean, there's a whole shed load of effects that are available in this bit of software. And what it will eventually do is it'll get kind of moved around, and the relative levels and EQs and maybe one or two effects applied, and there's going to be a lot more. I've been playing around with a bit of bass here. That's it's actually I put the fretless bass through the what's known as the Woolly Mammoth pedal. It's actually a clone of the Woolly Mammoth called the Man Box. I've actually built a version of it, and that takes the synth signals, and I've installed it in Project XII. There's a video on that, but I also built a bass guitar pedal version of it, and that's what this is through. So it's a bit meaty on the old bass. Again, just experimenting there with that at the moment, so I'm kind of I don't know where I'm going with that. Anyway, I'm rambling a bit and taking it a bit further than I was going to, because basically this is more about how to get your DIY modular analog synth to play nice with live instruments. So if you're into this sort of thing, if you have a go with the recording software, then yeah, your little DIY boxes, they're not just for making noise, they're for making music. So go on, have a go, record your own.